You're done. Finally. The project is complete, and well, it's not a complete disaster. I call that a success. But she just finished her project too. Let's just take a quick look. Oh no. It's so much better than mine. What was I thinking? I can't share this with the world. The only logical thing to do is dig a deep pit in the forest, bury the piece, burn down the forest, and blame the dragons. We never speak of this again. Having an objective enough stance to evaluate your own art is hard, and when most of us do it, we are far too hard on ourselves. We have this uncanny ability to compare all of our worst aspects to other people's best aspects, and trick ourselves into thinking this is somehow rational, helpful, or even good. In this video, as a third part of the Building Personal Projects series, we are taking a look at how to critique your own work, and more specifically, your personal projects. Critique is designed to expose the areas that can be improved in the future, while also displaying the areas of success and growth. My name is Zach, and if you are enjoying these videos, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps out a ton. These are not in any particular order, and with that, let's dive in. Don't critique blindly. Have specific purpose. It is easy to be overwhelmed when you step back to evaluate a project that you just completed. There are so many components to every work of art. Where do you even begin? Maybe your piece has 10,000 things wrong with it. Not likely, but if you look at its specific purpose, you have a more clearly defined way to evaluate it. It likely doesn't have anywhere near as many things wrong with it as you expect, but oh, can we make a mountain out of a molehill with our art? If the piece was a landscape painting focused on compositional study, don't hassle yourself too much because the trees and the rocks don't look accurate. That's a different project for a different time. Obviously, this strategy works better if the project was constructed with a particular purpose in the first place. We've talked about this in the past videos, but to summarize, if a project is totally open-ended, it can be difficult and daunting to engage. And so it is often a better approach to construct projects with specific goals, skills you are working on honing, or some particular representation you had to bring to light. So think for a moment. What was your goal with this portrait, this landscape, this character design? Was it to make a pretty picture, an accurate representation of someone, or just to improve your ability to draw different expressions? Looking at this specific purpose gives you something to critique, and you are less likely to knock yourself out with your own brutal self-reflection. What was the goal, how was it achieved, and what can be done better next time? Move on. Try to be objective. What an easy thing to say. This is difficult. Your art is your baby. It is a reflection of you. How can you extricate that sense, that feeling, and just look at the art for what it is? Knowledge may be your first key here. The knowledge that your value as an artist or a person does not come from the success or failure of your pieces. You are intrinsically valuable. Your art is your creation, but it is separate from you. You are not your art. Keep working on this internal dialogue and try to be as objective as possible, to detach your emotions as much as you can and identify the pieces of the art that can be improved. And also the pieces of it that were successful. Don't miss out on the positive. Although, as an aside, I would say that there isn't really any negative here. The supposedly negative components are all benchmarks and signposts for growth. Only once you know what you need to improve can you start working and moving forward and actually improving. Try to look at individual components of the piece and evaluate those. Don't evaluate yourself. Compare the piece to past pieces, not to other artists, or to what occurred in your mind's eye. There's a lot going on here, so let's break this down a bit. I know that sometimes the word compare gets a reaction from the art community, but I've come to the personal conclusion that comparison is a part of us as humans for a reason. It is one of the best ways to understand the relative position of a thing in reality. If you want to see how good a piece of art is at a particular goal, you can do this by examining other pieces of art with the same goal. Now, before we fall off the cliff here, yes, you could do this with other people's art, especially on Instagram and other social media sites. But here is the problem. You don't know what the express goal of their piece was. You don't know how much experience they have. And whatever they post is curated and not an accurate representation of their body of work. So comparing your work to your work is a much more unifying manner of evaluating. You can, with some level of certainty, know what your goal was with your own work, and thusly, you have a better chance at evaluating and critiquing. I like to do this by taking a look at past sketchbooks or past pieces after I complete something. I do this when the piece is particularly good or particularly bad. I find it benefits in both of these extremes. When a piece goes downhill, looking back at what you did last month or last year lets you see that, yes, you are in fact improving. So when critiquing your work, after examining the specific goal, you can compare how this piece achieved its goal versus the last one. How well did this character design turn out? Regardless of that answer, how is it in comparison to the last set of character designs? Your own artistic journey is separate from everyone else's. Look back along your own path, forward towards your own destination, to see your progress, to critique accurately and evaluate where to go next. As a side note, before concluding this section, I would like to talk a little more about comparing your art to other artists' work. It is not a universally negative thing. In fact, once you get to a place where you are able to be very objective with your art, comparing your work to other artists' work can often help you nail down the missing pieces in your own. You can track down components of their work that make it more successful and steal and borrow those things to add to your own. Be careful though. It is easy to spend all of your art time looking at other work, and it's easy to slip back into comparing yourself and feeling like a failure. You aren't a failure. You just had something turn out worse than you wanted. Welcome to being human. See each failure as a prompt for another project. Oh, doesn't this sound like such a self-help book? But it's true, and this is a better way of looking at it. It's not so much the fluffy unicorn perspective of love your failures. If you can find a way to do that, then great, but we aren't all superhuman. This way of looking at it, that each failure is like a spark to move forward, seems more reasonable to me. Failure can push us or chain us to the moment. Let the failures unearth the path forward. It's like uncovering ways to not succeed. You can look at them as failures, but truly you've uncovered another way to not draw the face. And if you internalize that and understand it, that is one step closer to figuring out how to draw the thing you want to draw. I made a video a long while back about how you have to make 100 bad paintings to get to the good ones, something I heard time and time again in art school. The road to success is going to be paved with hundreds, if not thousands, of quote-unquote failures. But these art professionals are onto something, that your failures are guideposts if you let them be. They tell you where to not go. They slowly help build borders around the art you want to create, telling you, don't make a background like that, you didn't like it. Don't start the face in the center, you struggle to get the proportions right. These are personal, digestible lessons for you. They belong to no one else, and likely wouldn't help them even if they could see them. Your failures, your prompts, your boundary stones are your hard-earned victories for making it through the failure stage. See, many people just give up, and the failures truly mark the end of their journeys. They are only failures if they stop you. If you let them be boundary stones, signposts, and lamplights, then every failure teaches you a lesson, helps you grow and move forward. They give you the ability to critique yourself and evaluate your work and move forward. Failures are friends, not food. Wait. Remind yourself of the goal, to improve and grow. This is our final point, and I think it being here makes the most sense. After all these other points, after the inevitable struggle, remember why you are doing this. You are creating and evaluating your work because you want to improve, to grow, to share things with the world, to get worlds out of your head, to express yourself, or to enjoy this particular moment of space-time you have been graced with. Your art isn't about the anatomy of the lower torso. It's about what you want to communicate through the page. Remind yourself of the goal. Look at your past work and remind yourself you are improving. You are slowly, ever so slowly, approaching the goal, improving and climbing the ladder. One project down, time for another. Thanks for listening, and I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments down below what you would like to see down the line. I'd love to hone in on things that will be the most helpful for all of you. Have a good one, y'all. See you soon.